are not necessarily those of the management, ownership, or production of Glory 93.9 FM.
Today can be the turning point in your life by making a simple decision.
Fundamental questions of navigation. Where am I? Where am I going? And how do I get there from here?
I invite the leaders of our planet to ask themselves these three questions before they make any crucial decisions.
But if you don't make decisions, you're going to stay right where you are.
We are all map makers.
We are in a time of transition.
If we're going to change, we have to change the direction that we're going.
Our planet needs leaders who know where they want to go.
When we change the direction we're going, then we want to make sure we're going in the right direction.
Leaders who can see the big picture.
Because if we're not, we're going to either go backwards or we're going to stay where we are.
Recognizing the psychological and the spiritual shifts and changes that need to be made, often from the inside to the outside.
To be able to shape your future, you have to be willing and able to change your paradigm.
Complex journeys require navigation. The path to the truth is one such journey. This is your GPS. Hairstyling services provided by J.D. Edwards Salon and Spa, Palmdale Shopping Plaza, Ladera Street. Accessories provided by Chevette Williamson Jewelry. Standout jewelry for standout women. Wardrobe provided by Bahari Bahamas. Visit shopbahari.com. And good morning, everyone, and welcome to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Glory 93.9 FM. I am your host, Michelle Malcolm. As always, it's a pleasure to be in your company today. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the GPS family. I really appreciate you being here, and I appreciate your support. Thank you so much for being here. So on Friday, we were supposed to be doing an open line show, as you know, and I had all these clips prepared as to what we were going to be discussing. And but of course, open line means that it is all about you and what you want to talk about. And clearly, all the conversation was heading in one direction. Somehow we got to be talking about male and female relationships, the family dynamic, leadership versus not dictatorship. So that's show you where my mind is, right, Delton? Freudian slip. Leadership versus headship. Yeah, as hard as I tried to move in another direction, y'all kept pulling me back there. And there was one gentleman who called, his name was Theodre Hanna, who said that he's been teaching on the subject for the past several years. And I said to him, well, let's talk after the show, and perhaps I should get you on as a guest. Hi there. And one of my guests is just walking in. And actually, I'm going to need you to sit there because the other guest is going to sit there. Yeah, just put my stuff on the ground. And so he agreed to be on the show. And then I thought, I need to have a strong woman in here as well, but not necessarily one who, I know what y'all are saying. Yeah, Michelle, y'all want to gang up on that man. No, it's not like that. I actually heard the female who's going to be the guest on my show today speak at a youth Sunday at my church. She was the guest speaker. And she said some very interesting things about how she goes out of her way to ensure that the males in her home, her husband and her son, are honored. And she challenged us women in the church to find ways to honor the men in our lives. And I was like, wow, this is very interesting. Clearly a very strong woman, but yet a woman who understands why it is important that males are honored. And so when I thought to do this show, I thought, you know what? I got to get this woman on this show. I pray to God she says yes, because we need that perspective to come from a strong woman. Because I know y'all think I'm a feminazi. I'm often accused of being a feminazi. And so I thought to have a strong woman in here who clearly supports the concept, the idea, the purpose behind honoring the men in our lives. I'm going to need you to put on your headphones for me, please. And so let me introduce her. And this is going to be your camera right here. Yeah, that's what you're going to be looking into. And so let me add her to the stream, and I will introduce her while we wait for my male guest to arrive. There you go. Okay, so a former head girl of Kingsway Academy, a history honors alumni of the College of the Bahamas, graduate of the University of West Indies and the Eugene DePuch Law School, counsel and attorney at law of the Bahamas bar since October 2003, and now one of the senior counsels at Kingdom Advocates and Associates. She, along with her husband, pastor Kingdom Discipleship Center International Embassy, and she is the founder of the P3130. You know, I should be able to read this, right? Let me make it a little bigger, because as much as I like to think I was a young girl, my eyes are 58 years old in a couple of weeks. Okay, P3130 Foundation, whose purpose is to restore the virtues of true womanhood for the fulfillment of purpose and destiny, and its junior organization, the Teen Movement, that's TEAN Movement, which stands for the Esther Abigail Network, whose purpose is to turn unassuming Hadassahs into Esther, making her fit for her kingdom assignment of saving and impacting her generation. I got to get you to come talk to the Miss Bahamas contestants this year. She's the host of Conversations with Lady and Lemonade, a forum for married and singles, where learning the art of having crucial conversations with spouses or significant others will help alleviate frustration and foster better communication, and ultimately build better relationships. In her spare time, she enjoys reading sign language and meeting people. And she is the wife of Ambassador Devon A. Rolle, proud mother of 4, Devon, Danielle, Dahlia, and Dana Rolle. And I am very pleased to welcome to GPS Lady Yolanda Rolle.
Thank you for having me.
Now I'm going to need you to come a little closer to that microphone.
Right.
There you go. And so we are expecting a gentleman to come into the studio by the name of Theodre Hanna.
Okay.
And he's going to, I guess, bring the male perspective. But I wanted you on this show because you were so powerful when you presented at our church, Bible Truth Ministries at Youth Sunday. But something that you said, I have to admit, it sort of pricked at me because, and it's kind of weird because I think it was the very morning as I was getting ready for church, for whatever reason, a memory came to me of something that happened during my childhood. And then you said something in church that same morning that went there. And I was like, Lord, what is this today? Because you talked about how you don't allow your daughters to speak to your son any kind of way. And that, there you go, right there, that's perfect. And that that when it comes to even things like serving meals, daddy's food comes out first, and then your son's food comes out next, and then your daughter's. And you went on to explain why you do that. Now, I have to tell you, the memory that I had was growing up, my brother liked the chicken drumstick. My brother's older than I am. And I remember one day, we're at the dinner table, and I said, Mommy, can I have the drumstick? And she said, you know your brother likes the drumstick. He gets the drumstick.
Right.
And I remember feeling so hurt because I thought to myself, is he more important than me?
Right.
How come he always gets it? How come he doesn't deserve it just because he's a boy? And then you came to church that Sunday and you said what you said. And I was like, wow, okay, Lord, you're dealing with me. And so I want you to explain to our audience why you took that position of ensuring that your son and husband received honor in your household?
Well, firstly, thanks for having me, Ms. Malcolm, and it's an honor to be here. And getting the call for the invite, I was like, this is interesting. But truthfully, in growing up, I didn't see what I sought to model per se. And we live in a reality where to honor men now seems to be an option. Seems optional.
Okay.
And I said even with the singles the other day, what we have to realize is in the dispensation that we live in now, the males served in a place where he was disadvantaged because when our parents looked at us, they said, boys, you go to work, girls, you go to school.
Okay.
And as a result of that, we now live in a world that says to us, the man is dispensable. We don't need him.
Okay.
Even down to the barest necessities of life, having children, being married, doing these things. The world that we live in now says to us, men are irrelevant. You don't even need them to have the most sacred gift given to you, which is a child.
Just go to the nearest sperm bank.
Absolutely. And so we're in this dispensation of a displacement. And I said, God, I want to flip this axle back the correct way because based on your original design and plan, this was the creature that you established as your glory. The word of God says, for the man is the glory of God, and the woman is the glory of the man. But we live in a world where we are seeking to displace God's glory.
Wow.
My husband often says something. He says, when you want to make a male or a man angry, touch his glory.
Wow.
And when we look at it now, the world's saying to us, displace the glory of God. He's not needed. And I said, I can't be a part of an assignment that seeks to tamper with the glory of God. And we do it in small pockets because as women, we have to, especially in this dispensation where we're educated, we're making the money, we can do what the man does. We have to make a conscious decision to voluntarily submit ourselves to God's original plan and design. And so before I even went to university, I grew up in a family of strong women, you know, and my mother was a single parent. And so I saw the strength of the woman and I knew that I could do that. But I said, God, that's not really what I want to do.
Right.
You know, I want to be strong. I want to own who you've made me to be. But I want to be able to voluntarily submit that under a head and use that strength to push him and propel him into the things that you've called him to do. And so the small ways of doing that would now be when I come into relationship with men, whether they be husbands, the youngest boy in the church, or like I said, when I was at your church, who we call the vagabond on the street. I said to God, because I want to partner with you in flipping this axle right side up, whenever you give me an opportunity and a platform, I'm going to say to the women that because there's an assassination on this office of manhood, it's not necessarily the man, you know, because we sometimes look at the individual personality, but it's the entire office that's being assassinated because you can find the most affluent man still being disrespected.
Wow.
You can find the richest man still not getting the honor in the home. So it's on the actual office of man. And I said, God, I want us as women to now begin to repolish the glory of God because that's what he is. He is the glory of God. And so in my little way, I talk to my girls. I have 3 girls and 1 boy. And, you know, he's like a lion in the den of a bunch of lioness. And my daughters are just as strong as their mother. And so I have to be deliberate in saying to them, I'm not saying to you, dispense with your strength. But I'm saying to you, have your strength recognize the office of the manhood that's in the room, whether he's 13 or 31 or 51. Because if I don't get that message to them now, they're going to they're going to grow up, they're going to get educated, and then the task becomes an all the more difficult one, especially in the world that we live in that says we don't need him. We don't have to listen to him. We're smarter. We can make more money. We have more innovative ideas. And so as simple as, like you say, the conversations, they want to yell, they want to scream. Like, no, you don't speak to him that way. Because when you do that, and I allow you to do that, you set the precedent for how every other woman that interacts with him is going to engage him in conversation. And I want you to understand that this is not the way that I am training you to honor God's glory. And I want him to understand that as God's glory, it's a privileged office that you sit in. And you have to wear it with such grace and pride, and ensure that what comes to you is reflective of the office that you hold, And I used an analogy when I was there. I talk a lot in the schools with the administration and teachers. And this has to be about, this revelation has to be about, I would say about 15, 16 years. And I said to them, just by virtue of the man or the boy, child, being born a male, God says to him, you are the head. And that designation requires a certain honor to come to you. I said, however, when we look at our society today, that's not the reality that this male sees. He sees that, okay, yes, I am man and I'm supposed to be the head. But everywhere I go, it appears that the women are the head, the women are in control. So I said, when you look at the average young boy, he's in a home. And oftentimes, if he's in a nuclear family, you may have a situation where the mother and father are present, but the mother's still wearing the pants. So in that home, mommy's telling daddy throw out the garbage. Mommy's telling daddy do this. Mommy's telling daddy, and not, speaking to him in this reverential fashion. So this boy now is challenged because he's saying to God, well, you said I'm the head, but everywhere I go, this is not my reality.
Right.
So he leaves home. Whether if there's an absent father, he sees no head, or if there's a mother there, a very strong woman who doesn't voluntarily wish to submit her strength to God's divine ordinances, he sees this woman leading. So I said he walks from there, he goes to school, gets to the security booth, and 9 out of 10 times the security officer in the booth is a woman, once again telling him what to do. Pull up your pants, put your shirt in your pants, put the bag down, let me open your bag. He goes from that security booth into the classroom. And there again, he has a woman telling him what to do because our educational system is littered with females and not male instructors. He gets in trouble into the classroom, and then he has to go to the office. He's going to meet the administration, which is the vice principal or the senior mistress, and that's a woman telling him once again what to do.
Right.
Principal telling him what to do. And he's like, God, I'm supposed to be, the male.
Something off here.
Off. And so he goes from there. If the campus police has to be called in because they don't regard campus security as such an important thing. The average police officer that gets that assignment is the female. So he gets in problems in school, and he has now this female officer telling him what to do. He gets in problems to a certain degree that requires legal intervention. He goes to a lawyer's office, and in this era, he gets into the office, and what does he see again? Another woman telling him what to do. He gets from the lawyer's office. He has to go to juvenile court. And when he gets before the court, he sees a judge sitting at the bench. And who is it? It's another woman telling him what to do. And so he is betwixt and between. How is it that you're telling me that I'm here? But every dispensation, every sect of society appears to be being led by someone that's not who you've delineated to be the head.
Right.
And so the enemy creeps in there and says, you know what? You can't beat them, join them. You can't beat them, join them. And then that's where we get this proliferation that, well, the women have all the good jobs. Let me be a woman. Let me do this. And so my assignment, I say to women, let's reverse this attack on this office and begin to honor God's glory.
Do you believe that this is why, and just let me just say this before I even ask the next question, because I believe there's purpose in everything, right?
Absolutely.
This show was inspired by a gentleman who called my show last week, Theodre, Hanna. He was supposed to be a guest on the show today. So I just want y'all to know it wasn't supposed to be just girls. I am now getting a message from him saying he apologizes. He has graduation today. And so listen, he was already confirmed. So whatever God doing, It's just supposed to be me and you, right? Clearly, because he was the one who instigated the need for the show.
Right.
And I thought about you after confirming with him, because I thought we need a female presence on this show as well. So now it's just me and you today, and clearly that's the way God would have it. Do you believe now, going back to what you just said about the fact that everywhere these boys and men turn, they're being told what to do by a woman?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's why there's so much anger and frustration on the part of males in our society? Do you think that has anything to do with the way that males in our society are acting out? And that's the only way I can put it.
Mm-hmm.
And why they're contributing so much to the negativity that we see going on in our communities?
Absolutely, I do. Because another thing I've said, whenever we are challenged, we're frustrated, or we feel backed against the wall, we resort to the thing that's our strength. And for the man, his strength is physical. For the woman, her strength is in her tongue, her mouth. We resort to the thing. Whenever we feel threatened, or afraid, we resort to our strength. And so we also live in a dispensation where we have effeminized the legitimate emotions that God has given us as humans. And so from the little boy who was 3 years old, and he came to you crying because someone offended him or took something from him that he thought was unfair or unjust, the first thing that we said to him, stop crying. What you crying for? What you crying for? Wipe up your face. And so we've said to him, that's girly. To express an emotion that you hurt.
Real men don't cry.
Yeah, that's girl, or wear pink. That's girly. And so this little boy continues to grow, suppressing his natural feelings that he's supposed to have. And so that level of suppression, and they say it only takes a radiator one good moment in order for the cap to burst. Wow. It will retain that pressure for only so long.
Right.
But there will come a breaking point, and then that cap is going to come off. And then what you're going to have is a bleeding of issues unresolved from he was probably 3 years old to the age that he's at now.
Wow. And there is such a thing called emotional intelligence. And unfortunately, not just males, but people in our society, in our community, are failing miserably when it comes to emotional intelligence.
Yes.
So you have a lot of people who are walking around with wounds from, like you said, they were 3 years old and have never found a way to deal with that other than to lash out.
Yes.
And so they're making everybody else miserable because they're miserable.
Yes.
Like the saying goes, hurting people hurt people.
Yes.
This is deep. Okay. We have to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk about specifically the family dynamic, because it's interesting that you were also raised in a single parent home, as was I. My parents were married, but separated when I was a baby. And so I've never seen my mother in the role of wife.
Yeah.
I've never seen the father in the home. I've only seen the strong woman having to be everything she had to be for her children. So the realization that you came to, you got to teach me how to get there. Because what I took from that was, sweet girl, you on your own. Ain't nobody coming. ain't gonna be no knight in shining armor coming to save you. Whatever you got to do, get it done. That's not necessarily a good thing when it comes to relationships, and as I have learned over the years. So we're going to talk about that on the other side. I think I got to come to you for a little bit of counseling. Stay with us. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors. You're listening to GPS on Glory 93.9 FM.
Glory 93.9 FM. We're chasing after God's glory.
Located on Carmichael Road, Divine Designs Hair Boutique is a haven for women and men looking for professional beauty services. Our state-of-the-art and contemporary equipment creates a relaxing ambiance for you to enjoy while we cater to you. Need a hairstylist? We cater to all types and textures of hair for care and styling. We even have a barber on duty. Need a nail tech? Our technicians provide a range of nail services, including the latest trends. Unwind in one of our massage chairs while you get your pedicure. With our reasonable rates, friendly staff, and over 20 years of experience, you will be in great hands. Call us at 823-1669 or 698-1025 to schedule your appointment. Wanna be pampered? Wanna be slayed? Let Divine Designs make your day.
For all your building needs, it's Carib Construction and Project Management on Gladstone Road. We build it all: schools, homes, hotels, and more, including structures requiring a Phase 3 electrical contractor. We also provide project management services. The first step towards your dream building begins at Carib Construction and Project Management. Call us at 376-1556 or 341-4466.
Executive Printers is your one-stop shop for all your branding and customization needs. Letterheads, envelopes, business cards, invoices, share and gift certificates, rubber stamps, vouchers, funeral programs, brochures, flyers, banners, and promotional items like mugs, water bottles, mouse pads, and key rings, all with personable service and great quality. No project is too small or too large. For great turnaround and competitive pricing, make an executive decision. Call us at 393-5011.
At Lee Air, safety is our number one priority. Flying since 1996, we offer scheduled flights into Fresh Creek and Mangrove Key Andros and Great Harbor Key, Berry Island, twice daily, 7 days a week. Affordable charter services are also available to anywhere in the Bahamas and the Caribbean. Lee Air Charter Services. Call 225-3267, 702-7127, or 322-1317 for reservations.
Your body's immune system is under constant pressure from things like stress, lack of exercise, and toxins in the environment. It's crucial to be proactive and support your immune system with the nutrients it needs to function effectively. But it's often hard to get these nutrients from food alone. Introducing fast-acting Zinc Plus Immune Support by Longevity. Unlike zinc-only supplements, Zinc Plus Immune Support builds on the proven power of zinc and adds complementary nutrients to give your immune system extra support. Vitamin D helps balance the effects of zinc, while our proprietary blend of natural fruit and root extracts provides the extra help your immune system needs to work against daily stressors. And we've included Longevity's exclusive plant-derived minerals to give your body the minerals it needs, but can't get from food alone. And because Zinc Plus Immune Support is delivered in a great-tasting, sugar-free, berry-flavored lozenge, it encourages quicker absorption of all these nutrients into your body. Zinc Plus Immune Support. Zinc plus the extra support your body needs to promote a healthy immune system. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by Alive. Alive. Believe in best. And by Tropical Gyros. Not just good food, it's an experience. And welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Glory 93.9 FM. I'm your host, Michelle Malcolm, and my sole guest today is Lady Yolanda Rolle. We are talking about original intent, family dynamics, male and female relationships, and the impact on society. That's the topic that we're dealing with today. And, I in preparation for the show, I was, looking for stuff that I could use to post to my Instagram and Twitter feed, images. And I came across an image that said, headship is not rulership, it's leadership.
Absolutely.
Please break that down for our audience, because there may be a lot of men listening to this who believe that headship is I have to rule over you. And one of the things that we said on the show on Friday is that when you're talking about dominion, the Bible never says that one human being is supposed to have dominion over another. We're supposed to have dominion over the fish of the sea, yes, and the birds of the air, and the trees and the shrubs and the animals. But it never said that one human being is supposed to have dominion over another. Right. So please explain the difference between headship and rulership. Because when women hear the man is the head, some of them just Flinch.
Indeed.
Please explain that.
What I like, I love to read. I'm an avid reader. And it's John C. Maxwell says it, that the weakest form of leadership is leadership by title. And when a man has to feel that my rulership or leading is by virtue of, I am your husband, do what I say, whatever,
Right.
you're operating at its weakest form.
Wow.
But the greatest form of leadership is leadership by influence. Because once you can influence the thought processes of an individual, then you truly know that you're a leader. Because a good leader does not necessarily lead from his mouth. He leads from his example and demonstration.
Right.
And so oftentimes we find in relationships, whether it's the man or the woman, because we're in practice as well, there's a saying back in the day, do as I say, not as I do. But the challenge with that is our weak form of leadership demands expressions of statements rather than actions. And so we're often not prepared to demonstrate what it is we're calling for from another individual, which is why the Bible says, and we like the scripture of, husbands, love your wife, wives, submit to your husbands. But we jump past verse 1, which says, submitting yourselves one to another. And so when we look at the submission role, when, like you say, women critic, submit, they say that's a big curse word, especially if you're Bahamian and colored. But when we have a male that shows his female counterpart that I am voluntarily prepared to come under the leadership of someone higher than me, when she sees that demonstrated, then her voluntarily coming under your leadership becomes all the more easier for her to do. But the challenge that we have in relationships is we find people barking out and calling for things that they themselves are not prepared to do. Kind of like in the Bible where Yeshua, whom we call Jesus, he says to the scribes and the Pharisees, you put all these nuisances on people. You want them to have this sacrilege.
And you can't follow what you say.
And he says, and you don't do it. He says, you're a bunch of whitewashed sepulchers. Let the people see you doing it, demonstrating what it is you're asking them to do. And it breaks down barriers and walls of rebellion that you would ordinarily be met with. And the challenge that we have oftentimes is we're in what I put it in brackets, in quotations, relationships, but we're not really in relationships.
Okay.
And anytime you give instructions or rebuke without there being the evidence of relationship, you will only be met with rebellion. And so I can be married to you, but that doesn't necessarily mean we have a relationship. And so when you now seek to dictate or suggest certain things, because there's not that level of communication between us, the only thing you're going to get is rebellion. And so when we now want to talk about leadership, we now have to move out of this name-dropping, title-carrying role and move into a more demonstrative type of activity where I am not going to tell you to do what I'm not prepared to do. I am prepared to show you how to do it. They say the good leader does this. The good leader, one, he gives you instruction on the how. Secondly, he gives you the instruction on the how with a demonstration, with him doing it with you. And then thirdly, he allows you to do it on your own. Why? Because he's already shown you the path and given you what is necessary for you to be able to fulfill it. And so when we look at leadership now, I think all we are missing is just influence. And we are failing in this. Why? Because influence requires time and effort. And that's where we're falling short in our relationships. We're not prepared to invest the time and the effort that's needed. It's kind of like discipleship in the Bible. We call it discipleship, all kind of fancy names now, discipleship, mentorship, but in order to be a true leader, you are going to have to invest optimally of your time into the relationship that you say that you love or you want.
Right.
And so when you now invest in that degree, then you will never have to rule me, because out of the abundance of my love for the investment in this relationship, I am going to be more inclined to do what it is you're asking. Because when you love truly, love does not come as close to the edge as it can before offending. Love stays as far away from the edge that it needs to without offending. And that level of relating comes through influence. And I think that's one of our biggest challenge. We want to rule with the iron fist rather than the kind of worn hands showing that the work's been put in.
I want to go a little further on what you said a moment ago when you're talking about a good leader influences. So it's not about you doing what I say to do just because I say to do it, but if you're not willing to do it yourself. So I want to ask you a quick question, and then we're going to go to the caller on the line. Are you saying then, if I am asking you as a leader to submit to me, I have to first demonstrate that I can submit to a higher authority?
Absolutely.
And in that case, it's the higher authority in the man's life. Should that be God?
It doesn't only have to be God, because for us, we're visual. And we say, well, I don't see you submitting to God. Yeah, you save, you worship, yeah. But what I want to do is I want to see you submitting to another earthly being, so that if ever there's an impasse or an infraction between us, I'm able to pull up the phone and get an earthly being that I can touch and handle and say, listen, there's a bit of a difference between me and Sister Watermelon, or me and Brother Watermelon. He says he honors you, he submits to you. We're going to need you to intervene in this regard. And so that submission needs to be to someone who, beyond prayer, who a significant other, whether it's a wife or a husband, can actually physically call to say, we're at an impasse.
And need a mediator.
He honors you.
Okay.
Can you intervene?
All right. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Good morning, Michelle Malcolm.
Good morning.
Good morning to your guest.
Good morning.
Michelle is a powerful woman you bring on this morning from Friday.
She is. That's why she's here.
I'm talking about. I mean, I hear the beginning of the show, right? But what I decipher, right? This lady is a love, relationship, and a family coach, right? You know? You need to do counseling. I mean, like, it's not like you at that out.
Go ahead. Get to the point you were trying to make.
Okay. I mean, like what she said earlier in reference to, like, this woman, this kind of thing, when a boy child is growing up in a single parent home, you have to go through all the sisters, his mother, go to school. You got a woman run things. You even go to the clinic. You got your nice. Like she said, go before the courts and even the judge. It's all about women.
Right.
But the irony is, I mean, like, we honor women, and we still have to honor women, even though that woman's so strong and powerful. Like I called you last week, right? And a woman needs, I mean, to more like tone down herself sometime in relationships, because I find that women, if you leave a woman to be, a woman will go right overboard.
Are you the one who caused all the controversy last week?
I'm the one who called you and inspired you to have this lady come on, but you called somebody else's name. The guy who called in to try to comfort you.
Yeah, and then he didn't show up today. But that's another story.
You invite me, because I believe that I ain't coming on no show. Hey, Michelle.
What's your question for our guest? What's your question?
My question is, let me finish by saying, women are powerful. I mean, women are powerful, man. Very powerful, especially in a single parent relationship.
I am looking forward to my guest's answer to you, because I got a problem with you telling me I need to diminish myself in order to pacify you. But I want to hear what she got to say on that. But go ahead, finish making your point.
I understand, but you don't talk about no diminish yourself. What my mind with weekend is that you, because it's female, you want to lower yourself, because you need to understand what out there under the banner of female and what they're doing. I mean, like you saying, oh, it's woman. Yeah, you know what you're fighting for? Some of these women is scared on wasting man. And don't let them have the baby, because when they have the baby, they tell you up front cold, you know, this mine. You got to pay. They don't care if you see your child or nothing. And they really don't care. And they bring these youth up, especially the male, and they talk some negative things in their head. And you know what? That's last a lifetime. And you see some of these youth, them moving through and thinking they want some the wickedest things, because mama teach them some wicked things. Some mama saying they got no love in their heart. They only love their own. Cold like that. They tell you only from where they come from, what come with them is what they love. You only come around to just help the situation, and you know I can find you dime a dozen, because you know what? There's no real emotion.
So we go back to what she was talking about, dishonor.
You know, I mean, and you know, that's the order of the day. I mean, I ain't telling you, Michelle Malcolm, this is the ugliest I've ever done in all my life. I ain't telling you the way to lie, right? And I see some fine things floating about, but want me to tell you something? Fine outside, rotten inside. I mean, calling to say the poison of it. What I'm saying is that it's more focused on the output, but the inward is rotten because, you know what? You may see something that, oh, boy, look at this girl in my dream. Or she may be smiling at it, but you know what? When she really show you who she is, yeah, I ain't got no love, no kindness, no sincerity, no nothing. All she knows, she want, and wants you to take care of a false situation, artificial things.
So call it, just so we know that that's not all women, right? Just so you know, right?
Michelle Malcolm,
yes,
please,
sir.
I can tell you, I hold you in high esteem. And there's no way we're going to fix this problem by petting it, because guess what? You're a decent woman, right? The first time I see you was the last time I saw you, you know. I see you I saw you in front of, walking up the step in the Max Median house there. That's like in around 77.
Oh my God, that's a long time ago.
Stapleton Gardens, okay? I remember you, they're fine, they're cute, they're right? But I just give you a look at the way they're there, you know, but you know what? You're decent people, man, and you know what? I mean, I look for women like the lady I guess on the show, right? I mean, talk to these women, some of these old women too, you know, because they be wearing these coat blankets and things like they ain't used, right? You know what I'm talking about, right?
All right, let guess respond now. Do you have a specific question, or you just called to get that off your chest?
No, ain't a matter to get off my chest. That was a question and everything all wrapped up, because I mean, when women like such as your guests and yourself would take time to talk to these women and girls and to try to make them what you are, or not really what you are, right? Put some morals up in them, because probably mama teach them wrong. Just find a rich white man and, just and let's bring me, take care of me. Once you take care of me, don't worry about nothing.
Right.
You see,
okay.
That attitude need to stop.
Let's let her respond. She does have an organization that is doing exactly that, but let's let her respond.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for calling.
Okay.
All right.
Several things jumped out at me when he spoke, hence me asking for my book and pen. The first thing is, one, the realities of the woman that the average man is encountering today is a damaged woman.
Oh, wow.
Because, like you said, hurt people. And people can't ever take us beyond where they've either been or been exposed to.
This is true.
Okay? And so we're living in a dispensation of young women between the ages of 25 to, I would say, about even 50, that have been raised by an older generation who remains bitter because she had to live a silent life of being the wife, but having a husband that had 5 homes.
Oh, wow.
And she just had to accept it and be silent. And so the bitterness that mama had, because her mother bleed on her, she bleed on her daughter. And it says, if we don't heal the things that cut us, we will bleed on people that didn't hurt us. And so what we find is we have a rippling effect of a lot of damaged women having children and raising damaged women. Because you can't train me beyond whether you've either been or been exposed to. Okay? And so when you look at the woman today, when she growls at you, this is what she saw. And it's not a judgment on mama, because mama did the best with what she had and what she knew.
Right.
Her way of communicating was either silence, or you suck it up, you cry at night, but you move on and roll with the punches. She now has the enlightened daughter that's been educated. And this is why I place a greater level of demand on this generation, because we are more educated. We've been exposed to more intellectually. And so the justifications that we see from mama, we can't use as our excuse. Like I said, I grew up in a single parent home. My father were married. They divorced when I was about 3. And so there was a time in my life where I wondered, I said, does my mommy even love me? And the Holy Spirit had to convict me, because I would be sitting down, kid, hi, mommy, I know you're listening, love you with all my heart. I would be sitting down eating, and mommy she would look at me, why you got to chew like that? And I'm like, gee, I'm just trying to eat this little piece of food here. I would smile, stop smiling like that. I'm like, ugh. But when you see my father, you would understand why.
You went through that too?
I went through it.
Let me tell you something. I look so much like my dad, right? But you know what's weird? The older I get, the more I'm looking like my mother. It's really weird.
Me too.
And unfortunately, she didn't live long enough to see it.
Wow.
Because when I was growing up, people used to say to her, my God, Yvonne, you ain't nothing but the man. This child spit right off of Don Malcolm, right? I looked a lot like my dad.
Right.
And it's genes are a serious thing because I didn't grow up in a home with him, but she, like you say, you hold your fork. Why you got to hold the fork like that?
Yes.
Like, what you doing? What you want me to do?
Right.
Why you got to be so much like him?
Right. Right.
I'm not trying to be this.
Right.
So how do you now? You're right. She is coming from a place of pain.
Yes. And I think the Holy Spirit had to help me with that, because it caused me to have to sometimes battle rejection, because of course my dad, love him with all my heart, and I have a wonderful relationship. Just saw him just yesterday. Father's Day, and my birthday was on Friday. But I had to realize through the help of the Holy Spirit that when she saw me, she wasn't seeing Yolanda. She was seeing the pain of her husband.
Yes.
And so the Holy Spirit had to say to me, don't appropriate that pain to yourself, because otherwise what you're asking me to do for you, I won't be able to do, because you won't be open to it.
Wow. Oh my God.
Yes.
Say that again.
You cannot.
I want you to know you're ministering to me right now.
And I, the Holy Spirit tell me, do not appropriate your mom's pain to yourself. Otherwise, what you're asking me to do to make you this different woman, to help women and to change the trajectory of what we're seeing in society, I won't be able to do, because you won't have a heart that's open to receive it. And so I started to realize, and when it would happen, I didn't take it now, and it caused me to, because I battled with, I overate, because I'm like, what's going on? Daddy ain't I done rejected from him. Right. Now I getting all this venom from you. What's this? But the Holy Spirit had to help me.
Wow.
Don't appropriate that to yourself, because she is communicating with you to the best of her ability out of the abundance of her pain. She does not want to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Right.
She wants to raise you. She wants you to matriculate into life, but she's having a difficult time compartmentalizing what your father did with the need for her to raise you the way that you need to be raised. And so for the caller, when you look at these women, like you said, the Bible says, let your moderation be beyond with the plaiting of the hair and the outward adorning, but let it be of an inward meek spirit. You talk about them being beautiful on the inside, but rotten on the beautiful on the outside, but rotten on the inside. It's because they have decided to appropriate mama's pain to themselves.
My God.
And so their only ability to relate with you is what they appropriated from mama. Mama says to her, one, make him, you use him to the point where you need him. Don't let him talk to you any kind of how. If you don't like it, tell him hit the road, that kind of stuff. And so the average woman that you're encountering between that age bracket is damaged, because she now got lessons from a broken teacher who just got a leaving certificate and who did not get the degree.
Lord, what a time today.
And so she doesn't mean to be mean as she is. But this is what she has inherited. And like I say like I said to the singles just on last week, Thursday, what you have to realize is when men, and I will give the men a big clue right now, what most women want to say to you, but they probably don't know how to articulate it. When you see that spewing of venom from a woman, that spewing of venom is symptomatic to one thing. You have disappointed her somewhere, but you've moved on and you've not stopped to realize that you've disappointed her. And so what you now need to do to change that in her, when you hear that, you say, hey, hold on, baby. Can I ask you, where have I disappointed you? You will dismantle all of her weaponry, because in that moment you will be communicating to her, I value you and I care. Beyond coming into the ring and boxing with me, you think he's woman? Me, Tarzan, you, Jane. No, baby, you acting out. Where have I disappointed you? Where have I dropped, the late Dr. Miles said, where have I dropped you? Because I obviously dropped you somewhere and I moved on. Now I'm coming back, engaging you, and you feel that my engagement is an ignoring of the drop. So I need to now acknowledge, I know I dropped you. Where did I drop you? Because those women that you're meeting, sir, on the road, some of them been dropped 15 years ago, and they're still at every woman that you encounter that you're not getting what you feel you should be getting from is at the last place that she was dropped. And in order to get her where you want her to be, you have to go back and pick her up from that place. Some of them were dropped from the father.
Wow.
Some of them were dropped from a father that was absent. And some of them, like I had one just last week, I had to say to her, I said, and this is and only through this, you always go through things in life and it's not ever for you. And I've lived that.
Yeah.
So the rejection that I felt by my father not being there, God had to say to me, you know what, Yolanda, I needed you in the earth. Your dad was qualified to get you here, but he wasn't qualified to raise you.
Oh my God.
Because my husband said it yesterday in service. I thought it was so good. He said, I needed the spirit, but I didn't need you raised in the culture. So I had to give you, so I had to let it seem like he abandoned you, because had he been in your life and raised you, you would have been a different person. You wouldn't be sitting on Michelle Malcolm's show today.
You would be a different person.
Absolutely.
Because of that influence.
Because of that influence. And that's what we miss. And so for the gentleman that called, a lot of those women are dealing with being dropped from so far ago. So when you now come and you're talking to them, they're not seeing you. They are so intoxicated with their pain and having to go through life just living as though it doesn't exist, that it's not real. And now what we're doing is we're simply giving out, we're cheating. Here's what we're doing. We have an answer sheet for the exam, but nobody told us it had all the wrong answers. So we're passing on this answer key, and everybody feels like we're getting by because we got all the answers. But you got the answers, but they're wrong. So you will speak to men the way you speak to them. You will engage with them the way that you engage with them, because you've appropriated a wrong teaching. And someone needs to stop long enough to understand that we got to flip this thing right side up. We got to say and apologize to Mom. I am not going to get angry with you because I understand. I can't imagine you having to raise me and feed me for 18 years, send me to school and do all of this, bearing all of the pain that you would have had to go through to do that.
Yeah.
So you did well. You did well. But now, Mommy, we're in a different dispensation. I can't appropriate your pain to myself and give it to Devin, Dahlia, and Dana.
You know, this reminds me of some years ago. I was attending a luncheon. I think it was Debbie Bartlett's CEO Network conference. And the author of the book, The Path, Laurie Beth Jones, was the guest speaker during the luncheon. And she talked about it, exactly what you're talking about, but she called it your parents' cup of pain. And that they want to protect you by sharing their cup of pain.
Yes.
Because your mother, if she went through something, she wants to make sure that you don't go through that pain that she went through. So she tries to steer you away from where she thinks you could end up in that place.
Yeah.
And so by doing that, she's sharing with you her cup of pain.
Yes. Yeah.
And she said that day, she said, I want you to write a letter to your parent, telling them how much you love and appreciate everything that they did for you, and that you understand why they did what they did, but letting them know that you cannot share their cup of pain.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I sat in that hall, in that place during that luncheon, and I wept openly. Because I, for the first time, I think, started thinking about the pain that my mother was carrying.
Yes. Yes.
Which clearly led her to make decisions that she made for my brother and I.
Yeah.
Because she was trying to protect us.
Yes.
From also experiencing that pain. I went home and I wrote that letter to my mother. And I presented it to her. And she said, what is this? I said, Mommy, just read it. And the letter was saying how much I love and appreciate her and understand everything that she has done for me. And even if I don't say it enough, I appreciate everything that you have done. But then I went on to say, I know that this came from a place of pain, and I cannot share your cup of pain.
Absolutely.
My mother wept.
Yes.
I felt almost guilty because of, she wept. You know, but you're so right. There's so much healing that needs to take place.
Yes.
And we are so busy going through life.
Yes. Absolutely.
Dealing with the challenges of just being every day, just surviving especially now.
Yes.
I met a young lady over the weekend who needed some help. 4 children. The eldest is 15 years old. The second was 11. The third I'm guessing maybe 8 or 9. And the youngest was a little boy in Pampers. But the 3 older children were girls. And I could see the anger and frustration in the 15-year-old. I could see it. And I said to her mother, because her mother said to me, my 15-year-old is a defiant. And I just met the child for 5 minutes and I could see. I said, this child is frustrated.
Yes.
She's frustrated. You got to get your act together.
Yeah.
The 11-year-old, I could see right there coming to that place of frustration. You could see it. The younger child was still in the place of innocence.
Right.
And then the little baby is a little baby.
Right.
But we got to get to the place in this society. And I said to the young lady, these children didn't ask to come here.
Absolutely.
You need to get your act together for their sake.
Yes.
Because you could see the frustration in that 15-year-old girl's face. I felt her pain. They ain't asked to come here. And they shouldn't have to be dealing with all this drama and foolishness because you are making decisions that is impacting their lives. And the scary thing is, 70% of the households in this country are led by women, single women.
Yes.
You cannot, I'm trying to find a way, the correct way to say this. But if you start with something broken, can you have wholeness out of something broken? That's a question I want you to think about, but we got to take a break. Because we're starting as a nation from a place of a lot of brokenness.
Right.
But yet we're trying to bring a thing of healing out of that brokenness without acknowledging the brokenness.
Absolutely.
You can't fix what you don't acknowledge.
Absolutely.
We're going to take a break. Caller, I see you calling, but all right, let's take the call. Let's take this call and then we'll take the break after the call. Welcome to GPS.
Good afternoon, Ms. Malcolm.
Hi there.
How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
And your guest.
Good afternoon.
This is Theodre Hanna.
Mr. Hanna, anyhow, go ahead. I'm glad you called.
I apologize. I am listening to the show and it's making me excited. So I had to take a break and just come through. Just come through. The young lady is so on point. And but I wanted to just make mention, our design, our nature, and our culture has to find some way to evolve. It has to become one.
Absolutely.
Now, God designed us in perfection. And when we get introduced to our parents and our families and our friends and our communities, the design doesn't become corrupt. How we think and how we process information becomes correct. I spoke to some gentlemen yesterday, and they were saying that Eve is a copy of Adam. That's not what the Bible says. Scientifically, it's not what the Bible says. Scientifically, she is XX. I am XY. Meaning, when he designed our physical body, he introduced the planet to two unique things. And this is something that, we struggle with in our daily, from centuries ago, understanding that the woman's not a carbon copy of me. He used some information from me to restructure or design a new body, but he already had the information, like Master said. He already had the information. The prototype was in the male body. But we have some persons that confuse it. She's not a copy of me. She is a unique individual designed to help bring forth greatness out of mankind. And these shows that you're having, really, I have, whenever you have it again, I'm free. As of next week, I'm free. I have summer break.
Mr. Hanna, you were supposed to be free today.
I have summer break.
But maybe we need to do a part two. Maybe we need to do a part two next week and have Yolanda back on with you. That would be great, I think.
We need to do part 2, 3, 4. Listen, this information is so important to the next generations. Absolutely. She has, and she, listen, women have to be restored. They have to be put back in their rightful position. And the country's going to suffer. The nation's going to suffer until she's recognized. See, God recognized that as an important thing. He said, I'm not going to allow Adam to deal with this destructive force. You, woman, I'm going to put enmity between you and him, and your seed and him, so that you understand that you are just as important as Adam.
Yes.
You have just as much to do with the running and ruling and dominion of planet Earth as Adam. So I'm going to put it between you and him, so that your seed who come after you will understand that she is important, but it hasn't been the kingdom of darkness that's been attacking the woman. It's been mankind. It's been our own kind. It's been us, males. That's been keeping her underprivileged. That's been keeping her away from what she is really capable of doing. So definitely we need part 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Until they get it, we need it.
All right, Mr. Hanna, thank you so much for calling. I'll be in touch.
Yes, ma'am.
All righty. Yolanda, you want to respond to what he said, or should I just go to the break?
You can go to the break.
All right. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back on the other side, we're going to continue the conversation with Yolanda Rolle. Listen, y'all, I remember watching Oprah one day, and she said, I don't have to go to counseling because my show was counseling. Well, listen, I'm getting some good counseling today. And I'm hoping you're enjoying this as well. Stay with us. This is GPS. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors.
Glory 93.9 FM, the people's favorite gospel station.
Best dress, hats off, looking like I walked out of catalog. Everybody wanna know where I got it from. Catwalk, 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 boutique, where we make fashion statements. Catwalk, boutique, where we make fashion statements.
For the latest styles in women's clothing and accessories, visit Catwalk Boutique on Robertson Road East at the Helron Plaza. At Catwalk Boutique, we make fashion statements.
Looking for an extraordinary junior high school with caring, qualified staff and affordable tuition? Then come visit us at Elite School of Excellence, an affiliate of First Step Academy. ABECA-focused and Ministry of Education approved, we foster discipline, integrity, and wisdom while molding our students for success. Call us at 341-8846 or stop by First Step Academy Schools on Fire Trail and Soldy Roads for more information.
At the Shirley Street Plaza, you'll find Le Petit Gourmet, a small cafe that's big on flavor. Handcrafted delights made with love will not only please your palate, but feed your soul. Call us at 394-1251. 8 to 12 minutes is all it takes for a burglar to rob your home or business. Security Systems International provides professional and affordable solutions for both. Call 396-5000 for your customized quote. Gwen's Alterations provides professional services for all your tailoring needs, including face masks to keep you safe and in style. A stitch in time saves 9. So call us today at 393-6227.
Escape from the city life to Bacon Air Beach Resort in Pirateswell, Mayaguana. Relax in one of 16 air-conditioned rooms just steps away from the ocean. Enjoy scrumptious dishes in our waterfront dining room. Sip on a tropical cocktail, or if you must, stay connected with wireless internet. Nestled on one of the most beautiful beaches in the Bahamas, Bacon Air Beach Resort offers a unique vacation experience. For reservations, call 339-3726 or 463-0182.
Your body's immune system is under constant pressure from things like stress, lack of exercise, and toxins in the environment. It's crucial to be proactive and support your immune system with the nutrients it needs to function effectively. But it's often hard to get these nutrients from food alone. Introducing fast-acting Zinc Plus Immune Support by Longevity. Unlike zinc-only supplements, Zinc Plus Immune Support builds on the proven power of zinc and adds complementary nutrients to give your immune system extra support. Vitamin D helps balance the effects of zinc, while our proprietary blend of natural fruit and root extracts provides the extra help your immune system needs to work against daily stressors. And we've included Longevity's exclusive plant-derived minerals to give your body the minerals it needs but can't get from food alone. And because Zinc Plus Immune Support is delivered in a great-tasting sugar-free berry-flavored lozenge, it encourages quicker absorption of all these nutrients into your body. Zinc Plus Immune Support. Zinc plus the extra support your body needs to promote a healthy immune system. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by Bahamas Orthodontic Center. celebrating 30 years of designing and creating beautiful smiles.
And welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Glory 93.9 FM. I'm your host, Michelle Malcolm. And my guest today is Yolanda Rolle, and we are talking about original intent, family dynamics, male-female relationships, and the impact on society. And so I want to, I'm going to read a couple of your comments from Facebook. We've been getting a lot of comments, and obviously I can't get through them all, but I will try to get through as many of them as I can. Again, the number to call, 828-3543. 828-3543 is the number to call, and our text line is 828-2543. 828-2543. Wow, this is a lot of comments. Okay, let me see how many of these I can get through. So Kenley says, she has won me over already with just this understanding. This was sent like 17 minutes into the show. Kayla says, come on now, this is good already. And Kayla also says, strength submitted right is so powerful. Let's see, let's keep going. Adrian, you need to go sit down. Adrian Mott says, strength submitted. No, sorry. Adrian Mott says, where is it? I'm waiting for it to come up. Why is it not coming up? Maybe I'm supposed to say this on there. Adrian says, the feminist movement sharpening their knives. Adrian, that's not a wise thing to say. Either you have not been listening to the show, or you just have a comprehension problem. But this woman is clearly not a feminist. And I'm hoping that you realize that by now. Monty says, this is powerful. Yes, Monty, I agree it is. Let's see. All right. I'll read one or two more. Carlene says, we just need to strike a balance. We don't need to degrade women to make men feel good, nor do we need to degrade men to make women feel good. That's the whole point. Agreed. Now, somebody was trying to call just now, but y'all were calling the text line. The number to call is 828-3543, 828-3543. One thing I want to say, Yolanda, I often used to say this to my mother when we were growing up. I always used to say to her, whenever she was having challenges with my brother, you are a woman. You cannot teach a boy how to be a man.
Absolutely.
And I often get pushback when I say that. Oh, what are you talking about? Women, my mother raised me and I'm a good man. Listen, I'm not saying that she can't raise you to be a good human being. But a woman cannot teach a boy how to be a man because she's coming from a female perspective. You can't teach somebody what you don't know. You don't know what it is to be a man.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that?
I agree wholeheartedly. And our studio guest chuckle because it's something that I always say. I said you can have fathers a father can teach a daughter to be a woman, but a woman can never teach a son to be a man.
Now explain that, please.
Because the original plan of God, everything when God created man belonged and was all encompassed in Adam. God's original intent, everything was in Adam. And so Eve had to be, Eve was pulled out. And so her abilities are limited because of her being pulled out. But Adam is still God's original holistic plan. And so a man can say to his daughter, curtsy, cross your legs at the bottom. Don't wear the dress that high. Or he can do those things because he's holistically the representation of God's original idea and thought. The original idea and thought was all encompassed in Adam. We were drawn out. So by the mere fact of us being drawn out, there are natural privilege limitations that we have. The challenge that we're having as women is we don't understand the privilege in our limitation. And so we're getting all of the sicknesses and the stresses and the burdens because we are choosing to take on duties that were not assigned to us. So we'll have the woman who will choose to take out the 5-gallon bottle of water out the car despite the fact that she has a male on the inside, because I can do it.
Okay.
I don't need you to take the water out of the car.
Mhm.
But your very delicate makeup was not made for that. But we have to be desirous of accepting the privilege of our limitations and not seeing it as a weakness or a flaw.
But here's the thing, though, Yolanda.
Mm-hmm.
70% of households are led by women. And some ain't got no man around to lift that bottle. They better try to go lift that bottle out of the car.
But you can do it. You can function in a certain capacity, but yet not lose your femininity.
Okay.
Absolutely. And so when your daughter sees you going to take the 5-gallon bottle, if there's more than one of you in there, one way that you can teach her the femininity of it is, let a few of us do it. Let's 2 of us do it. Come and help me take this bottle out.
But some would argue that is sending the message that I am as a woman, I am weak and I can't do. How do you answer to that?
We accept that because we are trying to, I'm an attorney by profession, yeah?
Mhm.
So we're trying to get the supporting evidence to justify the positions that we want to take.
Right.
Yeah. There's no man here, so I got to do it.
Right.
I got to pay the bills, but I got to pay.
Right.
However, even though these realities exist, there's still a way that we can do it that does not breed the spirit of feminism that most men have the challenge with.
Okay.
So you can have a woman that's holding it down, but still doesn't bark at the first conversation or engagement that comes at her. Well, I don't need you. Like, oh, but hey, sweetie, you look good, eh? I know. I know I look good. No,
I need you to tell me that.
I don't need you to tell me that. But you can, you're doing it, but there's still a spirit that you embrace. When the caller called, I wrote down 3 things when he talked about this fight with the women. I think we are in an unnecessary battle to prove our worth. We felt like the underdog for so long. We have to prove that we have arrived. I'm phenomenal, me. I am woman, hear me roar. We've done it. But we missed that. We're not in a battle to prove our worth, because our Savior has established the worth and the value of women in the 3 most important aspects of his son's life. I'll give them to you. He introduced us in her birth. He was God. He could have bring his Messiah through a rock if he wanted to, but he included us. When it was time for his burial, he brought a harlot to anoint his body for burial.
My Lord.
When it was time for his resurrection, the first person that saw him was a woman. So we are fighting a battle to establish our value and our worth in this society and in this world when we don't have to. Because the Creator says, you are so important to me that at the 3 most crucial parts of my creation plan, I ensured that you weren't left out. Then he goes, like the caller said, he says, but I'm going to do something. I'm going to show you how important you are. And then I'm going to show the adversary how insignificant I feel he is. Because I am not going to cause there to be enmity between he and Adam. I am going to use this person that he deceived to destroy him. He says, the lowest part of the woman, which is her heel, shall bruise the highest part of her adversary, which is the head. He said, the heel of the woman will bruise the head of the serpent. And so we're fighting and battling to establish that we can do it. We know we can do it. We get that. The world gets it. We've done it. We have done it. Yeah. But we have to now, and this ties me back into the point you raised. What we now have to do is break up this foundation, this flawed foundation. I'm not an engineer. Yeah. But there's a building that's on the corner of Bay Street by the Supreme Court that will, the post office is there. It's right on the corner by where it'll take you to the number Shirley Street. Harry B. Sands has a new building there. It's a condemned building. It was where the registry records were and all that. They used to patch that. I've been an attorney for 17 years. That building was mold infested. They would patch it and they would do all of these sort of stuff. Yeah. But the challenge is when you see cracks in a wall or problems in the roof, when you go to put mortar on the wall, you're missing the problem.
It's only aesthetic.
You're missing the problem because the cracks are indicative of the fact that something deeper is happening on the foundation.
Foundation is the problem.
And the only way to restore a building that has foundational flaws is, watch this, we have to condemn it. It has to come down and the foundation has to be redone.
Wow.
Otherwise, we will keep patching for the rest of our lives.
Wow.
And with this situation that we're having with women, we have to stop long enough as a society to break the walls down and get to the foundation. Because until the foundation is restored, we're going to keep having this challenge. And then we will have our daughters having these conversations. Because we don't stop long enough to say, let's condemn. This blueprint that we have, women, these blueprint that we've been working with for the last 100 years, it's not right. It's not working for us. Let's do away with this. Condemn this ideology, condemn this mindset, and let's start over. Let's go back to what God has established us to be, and let's now partner with Him and do what we need to be doing so that we can now raise, because they say, once you have these women, we're not thermometers, we're thermostats. That's just the reality of it. Like I said, when I was at your church, they say women start and stop wars. Behind everyone, say, you're going to find a woman. I used the illustration when Pilate had Jesus before him. The Pilate's wife came out and say, listen, hubby, you see that man they brought to you? Mm-hmm. When he comes before you tomorrow, don't touch him because the angels trouble me in my dream. Don't. And Pilate said, well, no, go take him to Caesar. But we are thermostats. Mm-hmm. We set the temperature. Mm-hmm. Even when I look at the climate of our nation, yeah, most of the young men that we see running awry, it's because they're looking for the validation and the affirmation from some woman that they've not received it from.
Not the father.
Not the father. Fathers, here in my view, here's the fundamental responsibility of the father. The father's fundamental responsibility is to give us our identity, our labeling, mm-hmm. so that we know what line of spiritual lineage that we're in. Yeah. Mm-hmm. When the father now deposits that seed into the woman, from the point of depositing, his obligations are all external. Because if the father eats and the mother doesn't eat, the seed won't be nurtured. Mm. His obligations are external. He can go to work and pay for the doctor, but if the mother never goes to the doctor to be checked, there's going to be a problem. Right. So the validation of the father and his obligations, are external. But from inception, this being called the woman has such a fundamental role that her diet determines the health of the child. Her words, even from the womb, determines the strength of this child. When this child comes out, regardless of what the world may be feeling or saying about this child, if mommy validates me, I'm fine. And so our young men, they come and they bring the money, but they don't get the validation. The prisons are filled with young men looking for the validation from a female counterpart. I've done it all. I've done what I thought you needed. I've done what I thought you expected. And still nothing. And so we as women, we have to now use our strength to strengthen rather than how the enemy has caused us to use it to pull down. Mm. So we say to the young boy, like I gave you an illustration, the average, what we call a vagabond, you see them on the street. When you answer them, sir, they act like they swallow a banana sideways. Because it's like, that's not what they expect. And then when they receive it, it's almost like, you see, despite my exterior situation, my dirty clothes, you still see worth and value in me. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And similarly with our young boys, we get the grades, and it's always, we have this expectation that the girls are to excel. The boys, hey, all this, do what you got to do. Oh, you get a C? Hey, good, Tommy. And he see you putting the pressure on the daughter. You studying? Are you not studying? Go and study. Go and study. But mommy, you only asked me if I study. But it's okay. Just make it through. Just get through school. Because we didn't have in the plan. You just get a job and you're going to be able to support whatever. But when you now validate him, like my son, oh my gosh, I always crack with him. My son has an ego that's bigger than I think this entire building. He's a very gifted child, very gifted child. And I tell him sometimes I have to pull back because his ego and me won't probably even be able to exist in the same room. But I do my best to validate him so that, he will come to me now. It's like, I said, you look good, Yeah, mommy, I know. So he doesn't need to go out there to get that affirmation elsewhere. Daniel, do you think you've done your best in this? I think I do. So what are you going to do? I'll do better, whatever. So he gets that from me. I'm giving him the blueprint for what he needs. But me now, as the woman, he could get on my reserved nerves. But even in my reservation, there are times that I fail. Kid, I'm very transparent. I'll expose it to you. There are times when in the heat of a moment, I lash out and I speak harsher than I would ordinarily want to do. Mm-hmm. But the Holy Spirit would convict me so much based on what I've asked of him. I would go to him and say, well, Daniel, I did not exhibit the fruit of the Spirit in my last engagement with you. Please accept my apology. And see, that's something that even as parents, we don't do. We don't feel that, if we make a mistake, we don't have to correct that mistake because with a parent, no, because I'm now setting an incorrect precedent. So I say to him, Mommy did not exhibit the fruit of the Spirit, and I should not have said it that roughly, whatever. And he would smile. And that smile for me lets me know that, okay, what you did it right. Because he now understands that not because you are mommy, it means that you can't be wrong. Not because you are mommy means that you can't mishandle me. But at least in your mishandling of me, there's an expectation of mine that if ever I mishandle, there should be something that comes on the back end. And so we need to, it's a lot. It's a lot that needs to be done, but they say the journey to 1,000 miles starts. We got to take the first step.
Mm-hmm. But now I have a question for you, because somebody might be hearing this today and misconstrue what you're saying. Mm-hmm. You're saying that many of these, and I agree with you, it's all about the influence of a woman. That's why half of the fellas in jail right now.
Absolutely.
Because they're trying to impress a woman, right? But yet the father figure plays such an important role in the development of both the male and female. Mm-hmm. And it's not just about that boy having a male mentor.
Right.
But as often is said, when you're talking about the relationship, say, between a father and his daughters, you are her first love. Mm-hmm. And so she is looking for you in every relationship that she goes into. Yes. So if you ain't there, clearly there's a void. She don't know what to look for.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Or you may have been there, or may have been distant or abusive or whatever. You are her first love. Yeah. And so she is looking to replicate what she saw or did not see in you in her relationships. And I've heard it said, as it relates between a boy and his father, that boys need the affirmation of men. Mm-hmm. So how would you respond to that?
I agree. Boys need the affirmation of men because remember I said the identity of the male child is wrapped in the father.
Right.
The identity is wrapped there. Mm-hmm. The affirmation is needed, absolutely. However, when the young boy and the young girl looks at the father, what we look for is stability, that grounding. Mm-hmm. Because daddy is not going to always be the one that's, tulips, and he's going to show you loyalty, he's going to show you stability, but the affirmation is still needed. However, I said to someone on Saturday, in agreement with your point, with the father being the first blueprint for relationships. Mm-hmm. And I've said this to a couple that came to me. They had one of the star athletes of our country. This was their child, and they were there. And I came to me, and I said to them, I said, if your daughter does not look at you, daddy, and say, I want my husband to be just like my
you.
daddy.
Mhm. Then
You
you're
are failing as a father.
My Lord.
I said, and mothers, if your sons don't look at you and say, I want my wife to be just like mommy, you're failing as a mother. Because you are supposed to be the blueprint, the precedent of showing and showing them how it's supposed to go. I tell you, I'm very transparent. My realness frightens people sometimes, but I'm going to be real with you. There was a time, I've been married, 17 years now. And there was a time where I didn't handle conversing with my husband the way he would have preferred. Yeah. And so he would, get on my reserved nerves. And sometimes I may want to respond in a certain way. And one day I was in my laundry room and the Holy Spirit had to convict me. And here's what the Holy Spirit said to me. He said, so long as the earth remains, there'll be seed time and harvest.
Mm-hmm.
The sins of the parents fall on the children to the third, fourth generation. He says, if you do not want Daniel, your only begotten son, to reap the harvest of what you are sowing to Devon, then you need to change it.
Wow.
He said, because why? Just as Daniel is your son and you want the best for him and you want him to be treated with kitten gloves and what's not,
Mm-hmm.
he said, Devon is Laura's son.
Mm.
That hit me like a ton of bricks because, he do that, she do that to my child, my boy, we were, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But I had to realize that I had a vested interest in changing what he would reap. Because if I didn't want him to reap this thing, I need not be sowing it to his father. Because I'm sowing a seed that I have to reap a harvest from.
Wow. Let's go to the phone lines. Carlo, welcome to GPS.
Hey, good day, Michelle. I had to call back this good show, and you know one more call in. All these
That's because they listening. They listening. That's why.
Yeah, they listening. It's so nobody is up to the truth. Dangerous, They sitting down just listening, right? I would like to ask you, yes, two questions. Mm-hmm. My first question is, right, and I know I can get honest answer to this, right? Mm-hmm. Why is it that women, I don't know, I mean, from a male's perspective, I know chauvinist again, Michelle, don't call me that. Why is it that when men or teenagers or whatever, how they want to start a relationship, why is it that women feel as if the man got to buy this and take care of this and do that and get this and don't have, like to say, if you get intimate and then it's like it goes on to the next level, you got to buy this and buy that. You want me to be this way, hey? Mm-hmm. Oh, you got to do this and do it. Where that come from? Mm-hmm. Because I mean, like I tell you no lie, right? Then I hear it numerous times from all kind of different women, right? And it's like it turns men off because mm-hmm. I don't even know you, and to me to talk to you, I gotta buy you minutes, or I gotta buy you something to eat, or if you call me, even if you can how I feel on that, put something on my account. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All these things I got, and I mean, like you're not obligated on the persons, but it's like so they feel that way, and if it's like I look at life reciprocal because mm-hmm. it's like the key to life is balance, right? Mm-hmm. As much as you give, as much as you take. But I find that in relationships, it is like one-sided bad. I mean, not on all, but I mean the majority I've been in was one-sided hard. But I mean, like mm-hmm. some of the people you really know is like. That's what they want to put on you to enslave you. I feel like most of the time in relationships, if men don't go in that they have to be a basic slave to bow down and worship the woman, because the woman ain't gonna bow down and worship a man. I'm sorry, and men need to frame themselves up and think because I mean I don't follow the Christian philosophy, but whatever's in me as a child, I think it's principle, and there's a principle in life. You know when you be in a situation, observe. Mm-hmm. If the person don't show you the same what you're showing them, well, you should know what to do. Because, I mean, it's like, so you're going to be in a situation where a person, they don't care for you. If it's like that, if you're worshiping them and all about them and everything about them, and then it's go deeper. Don't let them have a couple of children. Mm-hmm. It's all about their children, not you. You're important. They don't care if you eat. They don't care if your clothes wash or whatever. I ain't saying all. But that's the basic what goes on, and I don't think it's fair. Mm-hmm. And then another void I find is that there's no sincerity, no loyalty, no honesty. Anything could be said, and you take it, and when you ask question about it, get angry. Why do minutes be like that?
Okay, let's let the guest answer now because you don't take up plenty time. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much for calling.
Okay, you're welcome.
On the first point that he made, I don't want you to demonize the woman, and this is going to sound as a very almost blasphemous statement, but I don't want you to demonize the woman that loves the gifts. Because one of the first things that we do in relationships, we do relationships without understanding how to do them. Okay. So one of the first things that you have to understand in relationships, there are things called love languages. Chapman talks about them. There are 5 love languages. There are acts of service, physical touch, quality time, gifts, and words of affirmation. Love language is just like your natural ability to speak. So if you are an English speaking person, you speak the English language. In order to communicate successfully with someone from an Hispanic background, you need to learn the language of Spanish in order to properly communicate. Because if you go to the solely Spanish speaking person speaking your only language of English, there will be a communication barrier and nothing can happen. Similarly, in relationships, when you don't understand your significant other or the other person's love language, there can be no effective communication. And so it's like taking a diesel required vehicle and filling it with gasoline. You are standing there and saying your tank is on F. It's full. But the car is saying, I need a diesel, but you put gas in me. And what's going to happen is you're going to cause the apparatus to self-implode because you are not communicating with me in a language that I understand. So for the woman that, buy my minutes, buy me card, put something on the account, her love language may be gifts. So when she wants you to say to her or communicate to her sufficiently enough that I love you and I value you, when she asks you to do these things or when you do these things, that is how you're communicating to her. So we're not talking about the woman that the woman that's just outright greedy. And so what you now need to do is this woman that you feel always wanting, she thingsy. It may not be that she is a thingsy person. That may be her love language.
There's something that Pastor Miles used to talk about a lot in terms of the different, the nature of a woman and compared to the nature of a man. And one of the things he often talked about is that women are by nature receivers.
Absolutely.
And that women are incubators. And so it is in the woman's nature to receive something from you, incubate it, and then give it back to you. What's the word he used to use? Bigger, right? So in other words, you have intercourse. You give her a seed. She takes that seed. She incubates that. She gives you back a baby, right? And so, if it is a woman's nature to receive, I think that too could be a part of it. And again, we're not talking about the gold digger or greedy woman who just give with no love or appreciation in return. But it is a woman's nature to give as it is to receive as it was designed, the original intent, again, a man's nature to give. And so one thing that Pastor Miles often talked about as well is that men are often frustrated because they're being told, be a man, be a man, be a man. But the society in which we live today does not lend to them being the type of man that their grandfather was. Yes. He was the provider. He was, the source of, provision for that family. And so today, woman got her own house. She got it going on. She don't really like Yolanda said earlier, she don't really need you per se for anything. And so there's this frustration on the part of the man because you're telling me be a man, be a man, be a man, but you're taking away the very, what's the word I'm looking for? The very pillars of what I understand manhood to be. And so if it is his nature, he often talked about the meaning of father, also being source, sustainer, and what men call pressure. You're actually built to carry that. But our society does not make it comfortable for you to do so.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that?
I agree with that, and it goes.
Oh my goodness, we got to take a break. But let me let you make that thought, and then we'll take the break.
I agree with you, and it goes back to the thought you were expressing a bit earlier about the role of the man in needing to validate and affirm the son.
Yeah,
it goes back to that cup of pain, because their fathers, like you said, they understood manhood and fatherhood to be what great grandfather or daddy did. But in this world, the dynamics have changed. The dynamics have changed. However, nobody has formed the course that now tells me how I am to adjust to the dynamic change. And so that's the frustration comes in, because I don't need, me being the father is not me bringing home the money to mother and giving her and saying, you go deal with the bills and deal with the children. She didn't pay them before I even get a salary.
Right.
Nobody has told me how do I retain my integrity in this office while this is still happening. And because it's kind of like T.D. Jakes had a term of silent frustrations. And everybody's just suffering in frustration, in silence, but just still going on with life as though the wheels are turning normally. And so I think not only do the women need this kind of refresher crash course in the change, the men as well need it. But the challenge is the alpha male ego. That's where the challenge comes in, because the average man, I don't need a man to me, anybody teach me then. It's man, use man. You know, and so therein is where the challenge lies, the openness to receive the instruction that's needed for you to now walk this walk a bit better, to get different results, you know.
Oh my goodness, this is just too good. We need a part 2 for real. For real. And just for the record, for those of you who tuned in late, because I know you all like to accuse me of being all kind of things, we were supposed to have a male on this show. Okay? But he called actually at the last minute to say he couldn't do it anymore. And so that's how come. But God has a plan. God has a plan. Because clearly this was divine. And this was supposed to happen this way today. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we are going to, wow, it's already 12:42. Where did the time go? We're going to bring it all home on the other side of the break. So stay with us. This is GPS.
Ocean blue is the best in seafood, fresh out the water and affordable too, We got fish, conch, lobster, shrimp, everything you want, Ocean Blue got it. Ocean Blue, friendly and clean, best service you ever seen. Ocean Blue is the best in seafood, fresh out the water and affordable too, Ocean Blue Seafood, we are here for you. Ocean Blue Seafood, no one else will do. Ocean Blue Seafood, located on Burnett Road. Contact us at 393-2160.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 hyperimmune egg powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
One of the things I love about the mailboat is their relationship with Bahamas Air. I can earn travel points on my international freight and redeem them when I fly.
For me, online shopping is easy, with mailboat US addresses and regular freight delivery to Nassau. Plus, I can always prepay customs and freight, and they always notify me when my package arrives.
Yeah, a lot of people think the mailboat is just for shipping, but they also offer a safe and secure storage facility at affordable rates, all in a central, convenient location.
We also offer passenger service into Freeport multiple times per week with a seating capacity of over 450 persons. With family movies on large screens, one hot meal included, and onboard lounge for snacks and soft drinks. We're the mailboat. We're bridging people, products, and places.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Longevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients, plus prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by Tiki Bikini Hut at Junkanoo Beach. Great food, cool tropical drinks, and family fun in the sun. And by BMP Liquidators. High quality furniture and home goods at very reasonable prices.
And welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Glory 93.9 FM. I'm your host, Michelle Malcolm. My guest today is Lady Yolanda Rolle. And we have, I should say she has been doing some heavy lifting up in here today. My God. Oh, I don't know about y'all, but I've learned so much and still more to go. Let me read a couple of your comments. So this person, Yolanda, is taking some issue with what has been said here today. I'm just going to go ahead and read what she says. Siobhan says, your guest has some very strong points. However, in our predominantly male society and the misogynist mindset in this country, the reality is that many are not ready to appreciate this kind of knowledge. There's a lot to unlearn in this country, and I, for one, will not dumb down or lower my standards for anyone. When one, trying to get the second comment to come up, when one knows what they bring to the table, they will not settle, period. How do you respond to that?
The response to that is dumbing down is never an option. Lifting up and giving a hand up is the better option. So I don't have to make my candle dimmer to make yours brighter. I can help you find the coal factory to bring a little more illumination to yours. And I think understanding, here's the thing, she talked about the misogynistic society and what's not. We can't understand or see a problem. There was a cartoon back in the day. I turned 44 on Friday. So my age speaks for me. There was a cartoon back in the day, G.I. Joe. And the catchphrase was, now you know, and knowing is half the battle. So how do we, with all of our strength and enlightenment, know the challenge and the problem, but act and govern ourselves as though we don't? So when I understand the difficulty of the man wanting to accept the information for change, like I said to them when I was at Bible Truth, you can put a gummy bear packaging or wrapper around a Buckley's bottle, The only thing that it will do, the Buckley's content remains the same. The only thing that it does is increases the potency of what's in the bottle to the person that's receiving it, because you're approaching it thinking it's gummy bears, but I know it's Buckley's. It tastes awful, but it works. So we as women, with all this enlightenment and strength, we need to work on our repackaging. So rather than saying to you, like, that's the last stupid thing you could ever say, how about we say, have you ever thought about, I hear you, but might I ask you to consider this view? Because for a man, your packaging and your approach is always going to be number one. Because I read this quote. In fact, my brother-in-law Dwayne, he allowed me to read a book years ago. Can't even remember the name of the guy, but the quote said this, and I would say this to that caller: truth that is not undergirded with love makes that truth repugnant and its bearer obnoxious.
Say that again.
Truth that's not undergirded in love makes that truth repugnant and its bearer obnoxious.
So I can say it the way my grandma used to say it. You catch more fly with sugar than with vinegar.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the reality. And so I think it was Siobhan, we know the challenges. And like G.I. Joe told us, now we know. Knowing is half the battle. The other half is using that knowledge to effect change.
Now, during the break, you said some very deep stuff, and I was like, save that for the air, save that for the air. Because it often happens, conversation continues during the break, and then you see these nuggets come up, and you're like, oh, man, we got to get that on air. So go ahead and share with my audience what we were discussing during the break.
We talked about two things. I said, the challenge that we're having, both male and female, is we are afraid to have the crucial conversations.
Yes.
The crucial conversations, because we are at this particular place in life unable to handle each other's truth. But we have to determine, because we're living in a state of pain, but in order to fix it, it's going to require pain. So we have to now make the decision, which pain do we want, the good or the bad? When you go to the doctor with the wound, he has to take the scaffold to take all of the sand that came in with it when you fell off the monkey bar. He has to pour the peroxide. He has to get the alcohol. He has to give you some bad pain in order to begin the process of true healing. And so what we need to do is decide which level of pain we want, because we're living in it, but we need it to change. Then I said we're living in a society where we're peacekeepers and not peacemakers. The peacekeeper, I always use the analogy of a bed that was just laid in. The peacekeeper is the one that's going to take that nice Bath and Homes comforter, and they're going to pull it over the top of the bed and fluff the pillows. And you're going to walk in that room and think, oh my gosh, what a beautiful bed. But underneath that comforter, there's a lot of dishevel and mess and chaos. What we need to decide to do is stop keeping peace and start to make peace. In the analogy of the bed, here's what the peacemaker does. The peacemaker walks in the room, pulls off the comforter, pulls off the flat sheet, pulls off the fitted sheet. Take the pillows already off the bed, and then they begin the process of neatly reorganizing and arranging things so that when you now go into this room, the layers, the disheveledness, the wrinkles in each layer have now been ironed out. And when we now look at this thing, we can now say we have a well-made bed. But we are challenged with it because, like I say, we're at this point, we're unable to handle each other's truth. The truth will be painful, but at least when we get past this, we can move on to having true relationship.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's where we need to get, men and women alike.
Oh, this is so powerful. Okay, I have a comment from Amanda on Facebook. She says, Yolanda, you are right. I never knew my father, and that is one of my biggest regrets. My mother made me promise not to go and see him because she made a mistake and never wanted it to be known. When I finally took it upon myself to look for him, he was no longer there. I realized that some things that happened to me in my young life played out when I became a young woman. So I made some mistakes, and I have to constantly pray to our Father. Well, that's where the message cut off. Okay, so this ties into what you just described. Because for generations, we've just been pulling the covers over the mess.
Yes.
We are very good at that in this country,
Yes.
hiding the mess,
Yes.
right? Pretenses.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, you're hurting underneath.
Yes.
If you would have come through a relationship or a broken home, or, single parent or whatever, how do you now do what you did in terms of seeking a way to heal that pain, to address it, look it in the face, and deal with it? Because we cannot fix what we do not acknowledge.
Yes.
And if we do not fix it, we will have generational pain.
Yes.
We will continue to pass that cup of pain down from generation to generation to generation. How do we break that cycle?
It's always a weighty question, but the answer is so pedestrian. It's as simple as a choice. Really? You just have to decide, Amanda. You just have to decide to let it go. I will give you my personal testimony in this regard. I sold myself a lie for most of my life that it didn't bother me that my father was not there. So I grew up convincing myself that I don't care, my daddy in there, I don't care. I bought my own lie. And so for a long time, everything that I did, I governed myself in relationship with the understanding of the lie that I sold myself, that it didn't matter. So every relationship that I encountered, I always had a plan B because I know you were about to leave or I about to kick you to the curb.
That abandonment thing is a serious thing, boy.
Absolutely.
You go in with the anticipation that you will be abandoned.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. There's a Chinese adage that says, in order to truly experience love in this, in any dispensation of life, you must dance like no one's watching, give like it doesn't matter, and love like you've never been hurt. That's a place of true vulnerability. So for me, every relationship I came upon, I anticipated its demise. And it's because I sold myself the lie because, like I said, Dad left when I was about 4. They got divorced. And I bought my own lie that, and then I'm growing up around strong women, phenomenal women who are just getting it done. And then I am now going to take it another step because I'm the first in 4 generations to ever have gone to university. So I done biggie sizes saying, I really don't need no man. But one day when I went to university, I sat on my apartment floor because this is what happened to me, Michelle. I would get to a place in life and I would always plateau. Like there was always this unseen ceiling that I would hit. And it was like, I couldn't get past this. The Holy Spirit said to me, you have to forgive your father. I sat on my floor in my apartment in St. Michael's, Barbados, renting from the Raysides. I sat on that floor, Amanda, and for the first time I cried. And I admitted to myself, I started to have a conversation with myself. I said, Yolanda, you were hurt that your daddy wasn't there. It did affect you that he wasn't. And I just started to confess to myself and admit to myself that you were lying to yourself all along. And I was weeping uncontrollably. I got on the phone, I called my father, washed down in tears, and I said these words to him. I said, Daddy, I forgive you. No, I don't know whether he understood what was going on, but there was nothing coming from that end. But it was not about him. I tell you, forgiveness doesn't make the other person right.
No,
it makes you free.
Yeah,
it frees
it's
you.
for you. It's for you.
And so I had to confess that to myself. So it was as simple as a decision, Michelle, for me to say, I don't want this cup of pain anymore. I don't want it. It is here. No, this is not Lucozade or Gatorade. This is cup of pain. You cup of pain, I see you. I don't want you anymore. I do not want to drink from you anymore. And it was as simple as that. I made that decision and I acted. Faith without work is dead. Your faith and your faith is your belief and your persuasion with corresponding action. I did not want to drink from the cup of pain anymore. So I had to push it away. But naturally, I had to do some things. I had to confess the lie to myself. And I had to say, Daddy, I free you from the bondages that I placed you in. And I free myself from the shackles that I placed over my mind all these years. And literally from that point, it's like I sat on that floor and it's almost like I heard glass shattering over my head. That was God's way to say to me that ceiling that you were feeling was real. It's now broken. It now has placed me to the point where the relationship that I can have with my Father is a wonderful one. I can now have relationship with helping other women understand how to manage relationships better. Because I made the simple decision, Amanda, and I know you're hearing me, I made the simple decision to just, like Nike, just do it. It doesn't take 50 steps. It doesn't take you reading 5 PowerPoint books. It just takes you deciding, this is it. The box stops here. I will not drink from this cup of pain any longer. My God. And you do what you need to do.
Ooh. Clear your schedule for next week, Monday, please. I'm letting you know now. Please clear your schedule. Wow.
Yeah.
This ministered to me.
Yeah. And every relationship that I lost in the past, I now had the ability to properly dead toe tag it. You weren't the bad person.
See, now that's another thing. Yeah. That's it, because how many of us carrying around a bag? Jesus.
Yeah.
And it's 101 and we gotta go. Oh my God. This was good. If I may say so, my doggone self. This was good stuff today. We will definitely have Yolanda back on the show very soon, because these are the conversations that need to be had. Please like and share the show. Let everybody know if they missed it. Please go back and watch the show, y'all, because we got to heal this nation.
Absolutely.
And the Lord knows we need healing bad. And every journey begins with the first step.
Absolutely.
Gotta go. I'm Michelle. Thank you, Yolanda. Thank you so
for
much.
having me.
And I'll be in touch for us to do this again. I'm Michelle Malcolm. Thanks so much for joining us on GPS, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.